So how to easily clear this big fractured plane? Let me show you guys. But first, let's talk about what fractured plane actually is. Fractured plane is place where you don't have your gear, gems or anything, so you basically go there naked and clear stages to get gear and currency, and with currency you can buy gear from the broker who is located in the start of every new level. Note that these items have 1 to 5 stars, and if you level up your character in the broker with this item, you will gain a levels, and max level is 10. So it will be great idea to try to max out your levels as fast as possible, but it's not always the best choice to make. But let's talk about the levels. There are always 2 normal levels where you clear stages killing the monster, and the monsters will drop you some currency, and in the end of the level you will get a chest that yields you 2 items you can choose of, or just take the chaos coins that you can use in the broker to buy better items and level up your character. Every third level, on the other hand, contains a 1 boss, and after beating the boss you will get an altar where you can choose a blessing that increases your damage, defense or other abilities. And after beating 5th, 10th and 15th level you will get a reward. 5th level giving you a random items, 10th level also giving you a random items, but in 15th level you can choose up to 6 legendaries you saw inside the fractured plane, and it randomly gives one of them for you. Also note that you need to interact with the fractured plane entrance after beating it to get the reward. Also note that you only have 3 resurrections in one go, so you should be careful not to lose all of them. You should know the basics of the fractured plane and how it works and what to look for. So let's go over how to beat this week's fractured plane easily with a monk. Firstly, on first few levels you should clear every stage and try to fill every slot, as every slot gives you a good amount of hit points and a damage. Note that if you want to get the reward from the event where you need to clear it under 30 minutes and with max 1 resurrect used, you should not clear everything in every level because you need to be fast. But that's not about this video. This is about getting through the plane as easily as possible. In the future I might be doing 30 minutes runs and show you how to do it too. So if you would like to see that kind of content in the future, please tell me down in the comment section. But let's go forward. And in the first few levels you should also try to stack as much currency as possible, so after every level you can choose to level up your character so you can find better start items that gives of course more hit points and more damage, which makes the fractured plane easier. And after you have filled every slot, or at least almost every slot, you should be starting to look up for certain items that makes it even easier to just finish the fractured plane. Now there are 2 legendaries that makes the early stages way easier, and they are Numb Realization and the other one is going to be Scalding Storm, as if you have both of these your palm is just going to freeze the enemies and do a lot of damage. But the problem I don't like with these in the end game is they really do not help you at bosses, and because you have the inner sanctuary you need the helmet for the inner sanctuary to actually do damage, and you kinda want to have inner sanctuary as a damage skill in the bosses. So yeah, but they will help you a lot in the early stages, so if you can grab them, just grab them, but be noted that you probably want to change them to another one in the end game. Now the legendaries you should use and pick up are Judgment Watch, or optionally also can be Solace of the Peaks, Now both of these drops Inner Sanctuary that damages enemies per tick, but Solace also freezes and has longer cooldown, so Judgment is better on for bosses. But either one works. I would recommend using Judgment Watch if you can, because in the end the bosses are the hardest ones. Now on the chest, you want to have either Storm Spirit or Tie Blood Robe, as both of them make Cyclone Strike a tornado and continuously damages enemies inside them. Spirit Storm has again more damage, so that's better suited for bosses. On soldiers it doesn't matter that much what you use, but Discipline Weight gives 7-sided strike 10% more damage, and the first wind will give you more defense after using 7-sided strike. So if you want damage, go with the Discipline. If you want defense, go with the first wind. On pants, again, doesn't really matter what you pick, just pick the highest start ones you can find. But if you can choose, you can have 20% damage reduction after using Cyclone Strike by getting the Path of the Storm. Now on main hand, you either use Spirit Reach that makes your 7-sided strike drop a zone on the ground, damaging all nearby enemies while they are inside turn. This again works well with the rest of the gear, as everything just drops something down and just keeps damaging enemies. Or you could use Peerless Conductor to have a bit more damage on the third auto attack and knock normal monsters back, making them almost stand still while you spam Deadly Reach. Again, Spirit Reach will give you more damage to the bosses, so there is that. But with the Peerless Conductor, the normal stages will be a lot easier if you can knock everybody all the time, because they barely even reach you at that point. On offhand, you can take Respite Sight to have more damage on Inner Sanctuary, because it increases its duration by 30%, or Reaching Rebuke to have iframes on the palm. Again, if you can find Respite Sight, that will make you have more damage on the bosses, making the bosses a bit easier. Or if you have hard time dodging stuff, you can use the iframes on the Reaching Rebuke to make the bosses easier. Now let's go what you should be doing on the bosses. The bosses usually drop all the continual damage skills on them and then keep hitting them 2 or 3 times and moving to dodge the skills they do. In the Baal's boss, when he drops the flames down, I would advise that just go in the corner of the maps, as it is really hard to dodge them all, and then come back after the ability ends. Now whether you move after you hit 2 times or 3 times is up to you. If you can't, or it's hard to dodge the skills after 3 hits, then just use 2 hits and move on, because in the end your skills are doing way more damage than your Deadly Reach, and you don't want to die in this stage. Just now when he just shoots the flames in every direction, you can just take some distance and keep hitting him with Deadly Reach. It should be pretty easy to not get hit by those flames, unless when he starts to duplicate himself and there's starting to be a lot of them, then it's a different story, and then you can just focus on the dodging and just drop the continuous damages on the boss. The last skill we are going to talk about is the Blue Flames, and it is pretty easy to dodge them. You just go behind him, and when the Blue Flames are about to reach you, you just move on some direction and they won't be hitting you. Should be pretty easy to just do that. Now we still want to go through the blessings you get from the bosses, and I will always recommend taking pure damage or pure damage reduction, but firstly pure damage. If you can get pure damage, take pure damage, because then the bosses die faster and there's more risk of you getting hit because they die faster. But personally, for this one, the first one I took was damage reduction. It was 20% damage reduction. That is pretty good. But I did not have damage options. If you have the same options as I did, then take the damage reductions. It's really good. And the second one was 20% increase on hit points, as again I did not have any damage options, and 20% damage reduction and 20% hit point increase together is pretty good defense. On the third one, I had two good options. I had 20% just pure damage or 30% increased continuous channeling blah 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 damage, and that works for your skills, but it does not work for your palm or your deadly reach. So I did take 20% damage increase overall, but the 30% damage increase is almost identical in damage increase if you use this build, so you can also take that one. And because I took the pure 20% damage increase, in the last one I also take the primary attack damage increased by 30%, because now it's double tipping the 20% and 30% damage. So that was no brainer for me. And now I think we get through about everything you need to know to easily beat this level. And I'm not gonna bore you anymore because the video is already pretty lengthy. So if you survived all the way over here, I must thank you a lot for watching the whole video, or if it's even like half of the video, I will still really appreciate you getting over here. And if you really watch it over here, please consider hitting the subscribe and like buttons. And as always, please have a great day.